plugging my ears in. It's my headphones, I call them ears. Because they help me hear. Ears help you hear. Did you know that? It's a scientific fact, isn't it, John? Mr. John? That your ears let you hear?
First week back.
Yep, let's make sure that we refresh our brains here today, that all our cell phones and headphones are put away so that we can make sure that we're engaged today in our chapel. And we want to invite anybody to come to the front, make sure that you're not hanging out laying on the stage, okay? And just be a part of this. Don't be distracting, but let's worship. Let's lift them up. All right.
Your love is never far. You made a way to whisper into your heart. Forever I know you. Now I can see clearly, my God, you were for me. You won't let go. Won't let me down. I know it's true. I know it's true. Holding on to you, holding on and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you'll never change your love. Won't let me down. Your love won't let me you listen as I pray. You lead the night, you make the sky rain. Promises of your grace. So I found a way. Now I can see clearly, my God, you are for me. You won't let go. Your love won't let me down. And I know it's true. Yeah, I know that you won't let me down. I believe in you, holding on to you, holding on and I know you will never fail. I want all of you, you'll never change your love. Won't let me down. Your love won't let me down. To the sun, set our eyes on the Savior, see the image of love, sing His praises forever. Oh, we look to the through the dead of night. See the King kingdom burst into color at the speed of light. Freedom, shaking up the atmosphere as the shadows fade into nothing as the day appears. Beyond the skies above, we're reaching out for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Oh, we look to the sun, servants of the Savior, see the image of love, sing His praises forever. Oh, we look to the sun. Nation is waking up, the kingdom come. See the hope of heaven shining like the rising sun. Now forever lifted up from death to life. There's no fear in love and no darkness in this endless light. Beyond the skies above, look reaching out for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Oh, we look to the Savior, see the image of love, sing His praises forever. Oh, we look to the sun. Oh, we look to the sun. Beyond the skies above, love reaching out for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Beyond the skies above, love reaching out for us, the everlasting one, Jesus our God. Oh, we look to the sun. Oh, we look to the sun. Oh, we look to the sun. running through my veins. I can't escape its grip. You, my soul is safe. You cover everything. Know your blood bled for me. Know your blood, crimson streams. Know your death, this ends with me. The cross meant to kill is my victory. Takes away our sin, takes away our sin. The Holy Lamb of God, who makes us alive again, makes us alive again. Behold, the Lamb of God, who takes away our sin, who takes away our sin. It's my victory. the melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. 'Cause I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God. 'Cause I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I am a child of God. Chosen me, your love has called my name, and I've been born again to your family. Oh, your love has called my name. 'Cause I'm no longer a slave to fear, 'cause I so fully yours, God. Fully yours, God. We are your children, God. We step out on the edge today, Lord. We fall into your arms today, Lord. We take a leap of faith knowing that you are our Savior, that you are our Father, God, and that we are your children. And in being your children, Lord, nothing can separate us from your love. So, Lord, again, we fall into your arms, Lord. We love you. We thank you that our identity is found in you today. In whatever situations we're facing, whether fear is knocking at our door, Lord God, or whether it's literally inside our house, our home, Lord God, that you would break it. And that where fear has tried to discourage our heart for you, Lord, I pray that you would reverse that as you bring life to our hearts today, Lord God, even as we hear your word, even as we have worshiped today, Lord. Lift our hearts, encourage us, Lord, so that we may go about the plans and purposes that you have for us. We love you so much, Jesus. We love you so much, Father, Holy Spirit. Come today, be a part of what we're doing. We want to hear your voice today. We want to know it, Lord. We thank you. Pray it all. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Computer audio.
New Year's resolution. We talked a little bit about that. Can I get a little more volume, please? Thank you. Yeah, on Monday in homeroom, we started talking a little bit about New Year's resolutions. Usually, when we resolve to change something or to do something, it's to improve our lives. I'm going to lose weight this year. I'm going to be nicer to my students. Probably not. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to quit drinking soda. I'm going to give up sugar. Things like that. But you know, there are all kinds of ways that we can make resolutions. There are all kinds of resolutions. For instance, one thing that I want to start doing is I want to start recognizing the positive things. Rather than saying, don't do that, don't do this, I want to start recognizing things that people do that are good and positive, and then say something about it. For instance, this morning I was thinking back to the very first year that I started working here. And the only people that were in the band were Coach Paul and me. And we have come a long way since those days. We've gained and lost, and now we've had this solid group for a couple of years together. And I appreciate the work that Mr. Aaron puts into picking the songs and making sure that we learn them and getting everything straightened around. Good job. Mr. D is upstairs running the videos today.
Yeah.
Mr. Eric has spent a lot of money on all this sound equipment and helping us make us sound better. Really good, really good. A lot of people work very hard to help make Chapel a success. The people that bring in the extra chairs, Mr. Dan and Mr. Brian and a couple other people. People like Coach Yanni, who decided to learn a brand new instrument just to help us, because we lost our bass player from last year. You know, going forth and making that extra effort.
We got our sound man Jesse back there.
Our Jesse,
Rocking it
we
out.
appreciate that so much. All of you teachers that are out there helping to show the kids the proper way to do worship and to help keep them under control. Those of you kids that are paying attention to what we're doing up here. It really helps us do our job better, and it makes us want to do more fun stuff for you. So I appreciate that. That's my New Year's resolution.
I love it. You know, I think just being thankful in general, you know. And I think one thing that Carl does so good is he's always looking on the positive side of things. And we've talked about that, how you just decided in your heart, you're like, I need to be the positive person, you know? And I think that's so important. And sometimes, it's funny, last thing, this all relates. God does that. But sometimes you don't feel like you want to be positive, right? And sometimes it's the only way that you kind of get through something. You know, I was listening to this message last night, and she was talking about how we can get so negative and we can think so negative. And when we're thinking negative, what do you think is going to happen in our life? Negative things. Yeah. It's kind of like this, okay? Oh, my friend just got sick. That means that I'm going to get sick now too. Right? And we get this mentality that, okay, I'm just going to get sick. But, you know, and yes, we might get sick, honestly. But we need to keep a positive attitude through it. And sometimes that's just speaking life into the situation is the very thing that gets us away from that. And she was saying last night in the sermon, she was talking about how, okay, I've stopped doing the negative stuff, but that wasn't enough. And she was wondering, she's like, God, why? I'm still kind of just sitting in this place. I'm better. I'm not thinking negatively, and that's great, but what's happening, God? And God kind of dropped it in her heart that not only do you need to stop being negative and be that person that you need to be, but you need to actually be speaking life and being that positive influence in the world around you. And that's the thing. Sometimes we sit back and we just kind of hide away, right? And even with our New Year's resolutions, we make this, we have this idea or thought that we want to do this, and we might, you know, kind of just process it. Maybe we even think about it, but we don't actively do it. And that's really what is the difference. And I don't know about you, but I've been driving down the streets and seeing so many gyms just full of people, and it's crazy. There's this one gym, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, it's called Orange Theory, and it's orange. You guys ever seen the orange bikes? Yeah. So we passed that the other day. Oh my gosh. I looked in, I'm like, it looks like a bunch of zombies in there. They're all running in place. And there's this orange, it's really dark in there, and there's this orange light just shining on them. And I'm like, what is happening in there? Is the apocalypse going on here? But anyways, you know, that's the thing though. We all start strong. Well, not all of us, but we get to the point sometimes where we don't start strong because we just realize we're never going to make it, right? But we have to just believe. We have to believe, and we have to have that positive attitude.
Yeah, we talked about my homeroom. We talked about how we give up after a while, or whatever we have resolved to do and change, we kind of procrastinate it, and then comes November, and I get on the scales and I realize I haven't lost the weight that I said I was going to lose, and so then I got to hurry up and try and get it all done in just 2 months. You know, so we should start now. And instead of saying, I'm going to lose 20 pounds by next year, I'm going to say I'm going to lose 1 pound this week. And I reached that goal, and then I set another goal. So maybe, like Dimitri in our story from Monday, he wanted to be more aware of God in his life. So maybe instead of just praying first thing in the morning, thanking God for this beautiful day, maybe Dimitri's going to pray also at lunchtime and also at night. So just add a little bit more to what it is that you're doing. One of the other things that Dimitri said he wanted to do was to make use of the people that God has put in his life. So instead of just thanking God for putting my parents and my teachers and my friends in my life, let's go out and do it. Let's say to our parents, thanks for being my mom and dad. To your teachers, thanks for teaching us today. To your friends, hey, I'm glad that you're my friend. Let's do something fun together. Right? Let's start making these changes each and every day. Now, Dimitri said something that really spoke to me, is that he wants to be able to help the people that are in his life. Okay, and that's kind of like what all your grown-ups in your life are doing. They're helping you, whether it's your mom or your dad, or your aunt or your uncle, or your teachers, or your preachers, whoever is in your life, these adults are there to help you. Okay, so one of the things that we as adults need to do before we can help kids or anybody else is we need to be prepared to do that helping. That's what Dimitri was saying, to be prepared. We talked about this in my homeroom. Being prepared means to learn. How can I help you if I don't know what it is that you need help with? Whether it's with your homework or you're having an argument with your friend. So one of the things that you can start doing now as a student is getting as much knowledge as you can. And yeah, I'm talking about math and social studies and language arts and all the things that you're studying here. Learn as much of it as you can. And I'm also talking about the Bible. Start reading the Bible if you're not already. And if you're reading something and you don't understand what it means, because sometimes it can be a little confusing, then ask somebody. You can ask us. You can ask your mom or your dad, what does it mean in this part of the Bible? So ask, and we will explain it to you. And then, when you're grown up and somebody comes up to you and they ask you, what does this mean? You go, yeah, I remember when I asked that question when I was a kid. And then you can answer it and help somebody else, paying it forward, so to speak.
Yeah, you know, something that came to my mind when you were talking, Carl, is that sometimes we are so like, oh, I'm going to go help people. And it's awesome, and that's a really good thing. But sometimes we got to help ourselves first, you know? And, you know, you were talking about how we just need to educate ourselves, but also just really kind of building ourselves up. You know, and one thing that I was praying about, like, I was like, God, you know, why is it that I'm trying to pour out, but I just feel like I just don't have anything. I want to help other people, but I just feel like I just don't have the energy or just the longing or desire to really truly just step out and help people like on a consistent basis. You know, and now, you know, I do that, but like to another level, you know? And I felt like God was just telling me that the thing is what we have to understand is that we're like a cup. And a cup can pour out, right? We can pour a cup out into another cup. We can help somebody else out fill a cup, right? With our cup. But if we don't have an overflow in our cup, then eventually we're going to get burnt out. We're going to drain. We're going to be drained. And we're not going to be able to help anybody else, right? I can spend all my life helping people, but what's going to happen is eventually I'm going to burn out. I'm going to run out of stuff to help. And so in our lives, it's so important, just like Carl was saying, plug into God. You have to plug into the source of our energy. And really, if you think about it, if God created us and if His words spoke life into who we are, He breathed into us. That's what it says in Genesis. If He breathed into us, then He is the source of our energy. The sun that shines today, the light, right? The light is energy, right? It produces energy. You talk about solar panels, right? Solar panels pull energy from the sun. Well, where is the sun getting its energy? Where is the source of all this? And that's the thing. And that's where we just can't deny that there's something bigger than us. Because there has to be a source from which all this comes from. And that's where God comes in, right? And that's where we see it in Genesis, where He created things. We've talked about that before. If He's able to create things, that means that He's the source of those things. And so, if we begin to plug into Him, I want you to think about this. If you had a cup that never ran dry, couldn't you help a lot more people? Yes. Right? If I had an empty cup compared to, or not even an empty cup, let's say I got a cup half full. Okay, which one are you going to take? Are you going to take the cup half full or the one that's just flowing, bubbling over, just you're like, what's happening right now? There's this water coming out of the cup. It just keeps coming out. You're going to pick that one, right? Because it's going to give you the energy to be able to do it. And I felt like God was just telling me, he's like, you need to live in a place of overflow. Now, what does that mean? That means that when we're pouring out to others, it's not really even from our cup. It's the overflow of our cup. And if we live in that place, I'm telling you what, there's a love that nobody can touch. When people try to come up against us and they tell us that we're doing the wrong thing, or they're upset because we're helping people and it's making them look bad, we just continue to love them. We love everybody around them. And that's what Jesus did. That is what Jesus did.
It is what he did. He constantly got in touch with God. We talked about that in our Bible studies. When Jesus went off into the desert to pray, if you guys remember, we told you the story right after he got baptized. He went off to the desert. He was there for 40 days and nights. That was 10 days more than a month. Longer than a whole month. He went off to pray. He went to fast and pray. And we talked about fasting being where you're giving up, traditionally it's food, so that you don't have to worry about trying to eat. You can concentrate that time on praying and getting closer to God. Jesus was already filling up his internal cup with the strength that he needed, because he was fixing to start his ministry. And he was going to do, and he did do, miracles and some powerful things reaching the rest of the world. So Jesus went off to pray and spend time with God to get himself ready. And what happened when he was off was that the evil one, Satan, came along and knew that Jesus hadn't eaten, so he was like in a weakened state. Because remember, Jesus is a human being at this point. Yes, he's the Son of God, but he's a human being just like us. And if we go for a day without eating food, you guys are cranky and crabby and weak, and us grown-ups, we're all lethargic and sleepy. Lethargic, here's a good SAT word for you guys. All right, so the devil comes along and he tells Jesus, I know you're hungry. Look around at all of these stones, these big rocks. Don't they look like bread? If you're really the Son of God, change them into bread and then you can eat your fill. It had to be quite a temptation to do that. If you're hungry and you know, yeah, I'm a human being, but I am the Son of God, so I've got this power, I can turn that. No, not going to do it. God will give me the strength. And Jesus even quotes the scripture and tells him that, man, human beings don't have to live on bread alone. We have an internal strength from God. So the devil was put in his place for that one. He's got an idea though. So he takes Jesus to the top of the highest mountain. And he says, yeah, well, if you're really the Son of God, jump off of here and prove to me that you won't fall and hurt yourself. Because you know the scriptures. The devil's quoting the scriptures to Jesus. He says, the scriptures say that the angels will come and you will not even stub your toe. And Jesus says, yeah, I can do that. But it also says, don't put God to silly tests. What would be the point in me proving to you? Who are you that I have to prove anything to? You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You know what's between your heart and God, your relationship. So the devil was defeated once again, but he wasn't ready to give up yet. Now he's going to tempt Jesus for material things, and he magically gives him a vision to see every rich country in the world. And he says, well, I'm pretty powerful too, you know, and if you bow down and worship me, then I will give you all of the riches and glories in these countries. Wait a minute now the devil's going to give me something that my Heavenly Father already owns? Well, that's just plain stupid, devil. So Jesus resisted that temptation again. He was tempted and tempted and tempted, just like we are. But one of the reasons why he was able to resist was because he spent good quality time praying, talking to God, getting that inner strength, getting himself prepared.
You know, you can see it throughout Scripture. And really, we're going to talk a lot about Jesus in the next several weeks, but he's going away a lot of times to connect with the Father. You'll see in Scripture, like literally, he'll just go away from everybody. And he'll go up on a hill or somewhere, and he'll just hide away and just really communicate with the Father and connect with him. And I think that's, again, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm hearing all that from the devil, you know, and it's a 40-day situation. He's spent 40 days in the wilderness not eating a single thing. Okay? And I don't know if he was drinking any water or not, but I mean, I would assume that he might not have even been drinking. So he's famished and he's hungry and he's weak. In the body, he's weak, but in his spirit, he's strong because, again, he's connected with the Father. You know, and that's the difference. I mean, my goodness, that's a great idea. Let me turn that stone into bread because I am starving right now. And let me just kind of cater to what I feel right now. And that's what we do a lot. But just like Carl was saying, Carl, you just hit me like really hard with this. Jesus knew who he was. And that's the thing. He didn't have to prove himself to the devil. And we see it later on when he's in front of Pilate. He didn't say anything. He could have easily said, listen, I haven't done anything wrong. You're about to put me on a cross and I haven't done anything wrong. But Jesus knew that he didn't need to defend himself. And that's what sometimes we get caught up as people in, is we get caught up in, oh my goodness, somebody's telling a rumor about me. Somebody's telling lies about me. And I need to go, I need to go fix that. And you run over there and like, I didn't do it, blah, 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 blah. But just you being who you are and knowing your identity in him, and really in yourself, you're not going to worry about it anymore. Because it's always going to happen, guys. Throughout your entire life, you're going to get, people are going to put lies against you. They're going to talk about you. Don't think that, this is just I'm in elementary school and they just do it then. Or, I'm in middle school and they just do it then. They won't do it in high school. Right, guys? High schoolers? Nobody ever talks about you or says any negative things, right? No. Come on. Okay? Now, don't think that you get out of high school, okay, and that things get better. Because honestly, sometimes it gets worse, doesn't it, Carl? And that's the thing, okay? You're going to continually get confronted and you're going to have people talking about you. And if you truly know who you are, that irritates people. You know that? If you actually know who you are and you're walking in that and you're confident in that, it's not that you're prideful. It's not that you're walking around, look at me, I'm beautiful, glorious. No. That sounds like Andrew Kovachek, sorry. Anyways, so you're not prideful about it. You're not thinking I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. But you're confident in who you are and who you are in him. And that irritates people because people that are irritated with that, you know why they're irritated with that, guys? Can anybody answer that for me? Why do you think people get mad because you know who you are and you're confident in yourself? Yeah, right? So, I think Andy said insecurity, right? They want to get you embarrassed, right? And it's all together, right? They don't know who they are, and so they're getting upset because you know who you are. Right? They're not confident in what's going on in their lives. They feel like everything is going to the wayside. And you get on Facebook, you get on Instagram, all those different media sites, and everybody's saying how great their life is. And it looks so good. Well, deep down or behind the scenes, there's a lot of crazy going on in everybody's life. And that's the one thing about social media, I'll tell you what. It looks so pretty, everybody looks so great. But again, deep down, there's a lot of struggles and issues, and they're irritated that you're confident in who you are, because they're not. But here's the thing. It's not that we look down on them. It's not that we think, oh my goodness, why do they keep attacking me? Why do they keep lying about me? Don't get upset about it. But understand where it's coming from. It's not coming from them just trying to destroy your life. It's coming from, I need help. I need your help. And you know what? You could go back and you could talk lies about them, and you probably have some good lies, or maybe you actually have some truths about them that you can talk about to other people's, right? And it makes you feel better for a moment. But you know what? Your love for them in the middle of that will break that. It'll break down that wall, and then they're going to be able to say, okay, I'm getting it now. It's okay that he's confident because it helps me know that I can be that too. And that's the thing, okay? Sometimes I get frustrated. I get frustrated with people and the things that are going on, but I don't realize, I don't recognize that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And you got to think about that. Find your identity, right? We were talking about, I think it was Tuesday, right? We were talking about Jesus as a boy. He was 12 years old. And he went into the temple, and he just sat down with all the big guys, the teachers, the prophets, whoever may be in that present time. At that present time, he sat there, and do you guys remember the story that we read? He literally sits there, and his parents leave and didn't know that he didn't follow, and he just disappears. Like they don't know where he is. They spend a whole day walking away from Jerusalem. And then finally, after a day, they recognize that, oh, wait, Jesus isn't with us. Where is he? Oh, I thought he was with Sarah. He's not with Sarah. Sarah says, I haven't seen him for like a whole day. He must be back in Jerusalem. I don't know. Let's go search. So they go searching, and it takes them 3 days to find him. 3 days. And guess where he is? Do you guys remember? He was in the same place, listening to the teachers, right? And here's the key. He was listening to the teachers, and he was asking questions. He wasn't, here's the thing. The Son of God is fully man and fully God, right? Jesus is everything. He knows it all. He knew what he was doing. But was he in there instructing them? No, he wasn't. He was in there asking questions and learning.
He was getting prepared. Even though he was only 12 years old, he knew, I've got to start getting ready. I've got to gain as much knowledge and information. Because he's a human being, but he is the Son of God. So he knows by the time I'm 30, I'm going to be going out to my ministry, and eventually I'm going to die for people's sins. So I'm going to have just a few short years to get as much work as possible. Thank you. So if I've only got that short amount of time, I better start preparing now. See, now I take that as an example for me. I did when I was young, when I was your age. After I'd gotten saved, then I realized I need to start getting prepared and learning as much as I can. Yes, the math and science and everything else, but the spiritual side of it, the scriptures, the knowledge, the information, the right and the wrong, and how do you differentiate between right and wrong. And one of the things that helps me even today, when I am confronted with a situation, now hopefully if I don't know the answers, I know how to find the answers if you ask me a question about something. But I'm talking about something a little bit different. Say something bad is happening, or I'm upset about something, and I'm not exactly sure how I should address the situation. So before I speak or do anything, I ask myself, well, if Jesus was in this situation, what would he do? What would Jesus do? WWJD. There was that cute little slogan that was around a few years back. What would Jesus do? And if I stop and think about it and pray about it and ask God to reveal to me what would Jesus do in this situation, then I should do what he would do. If he would ignore it, if he would stand up for the person that's getting picked on, if I think that's what Jesus would do, then that's what I should do. If Jesus was confronted about whether you should do something that you really know is wrong, and you know he probably wouldn't do it, so I shouldn't do it either. So I'm giving you a challenge for your New Year's resolutions. If you don't want to lose weight, or give up sugar, or try to pray more each day, if you don't want to do any of those things, the easiest thing that you can do is that whenever you're having a problem, ask yourself, WWJD, what would Jesus do? And I guarantee you, if you give that some thought, it's going to help you make the right decision.
Yeah, we're gonna spend the next several weeks just learning what Jesus really did. And I think that's gonna help you figure out what would Jesus do in your situation, okay? So it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be great. Yeah, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning, Lord. We thank you for your goodness. We thank you that you are faithful, Lord. And just like we sang today, we're no longer slaves to fear, Lord God, but we're children of the Most High. And we're children of the Creator of all things, and from you is the source of life, Lord. So we plug into that today, that spring of life, Lord, that you would just flow into us, Lord God, that we would be that cup of overflow in the world around us, Lord. And that you, the people that you, because Lord, the people in our lives today, right now, that we know that surround us, our friends, even our classmates, God, they have been put in our lives for a purpose and reason today, Lord. The school that we're at, maybe the place we work, the home that we live in, God, all of those things, we are there for a purpose and reason. And it's not just to get by, it's not just to survive, Lord God, but it's to flourish, Lord God, and to live an awesome, amazing life in you. So Lord, help us to be present. Help us to walk in it. And help us to help the people that you have so graciously put in our lives. That we would be a gift to others, Lord God, not because of anything that we can do or that we're a great people, but Lord God, because of who you are in us. We thank you for that, Jesus. And we thank you for what you're doing and you're going to continue to do, Lord. And I thank you, God, we're just going to hear awesome stories of how we are able to love so much more because we're plugged into you, Lord. We thank you and pray it. In Jesus' name, amen.